not to be centered. And now you're trying so hard to like have the
Yeah?
frames be centered behind him.
See? Welcome. Namaste, guys. Welcome back. We're back again, finishing our book from Master Choa Kok Sui, The Spiritual Essence of Man, the Chakras and the Inverted Tree of Life. Welcome, everybody. Namaste. 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 So let's invoke real quick before we start, shall we? It's the Divine Supreme and Absolute God. To my spiritual teacher, all spiritual teachers, holy angels, holy masters, all the saints, to the Divine Lord Christ, the hierarchy of the holy angels and archangels, and to all the great ones, we humbly thank you for your divine and priceless blessings. Thank you for your priceless teachings, for your divine protection, divine guidance, and divine illumination. For your divine help, divine presence in this session, we humbly thank you. So be it. Okay, welcome back. So we were already in the unknown chapter, and we covered the incarnated soul last time. Yes, you guys remember? Yes, because we spoke about soul energy and the sun and all of that, and then we were going to cover the Buddha nature and the spiritual fetus. Okay. It's in page 175. Thank you for my tea. Page 175. Okay. Ready? Okay. So in Tibetan Buddhism, it says, the author says here, page 175 at the bottom, the Buddha nature and the spiritual fetus. In Tibetan Buddhism, the incarnated soul, which soul? The incarnated soul, right? Is called the Buddha nature. Buddha nature. Sometimes during meditation, the meditator may notice light going beyond his or her head. There, he or she experiences his true Buddha nature as light radiating in all directions, also known as like expansion of consciousness. In Taoism, the incarnated soul is called the spiritual fetus. Taoist yoga teaches techniques that will the technique for developing and experiencing the spiritual fetus or the Buddha nature must preferably be learned from a living guru. The spiritual technique alone is not enough. The help and blessing of the spiritual guru are necessary and of utmost importance. At the moment of writing, there are only a few accessible living gurus who can impart the proper techniques, spiritual help, and blessings. A living guru must be treated with great respect and gratitude. Okay. This is all we're going to cover today, because there's plenty to cover in this little bit. Okay. So again, this is about the incarnated soul in Buddhism, the incarnated soul in Taoism. Why is a teacher, why is the author doing this, right? We spoke before about the incarnated soul. So he's also talking about this here. He also will talk about later about the Holy Spirit, right? And the Holy Spirit has to do with the incarnated soul. Clear? So, what is the incarnated soul? We already covered it last week. You can refer to the video not last week, but the last video, right? So when you go to page 172, it's my favorite page in the book. Not my favorite page, but we always refer to this page, right? You will see that above the head, right here, above the head, you have the 12th chakra, also known as the incarnated soul. Above that one, you have the higher soul, and above that, you have the divine spark, or the spirit. In the Christian tradition, you have the Father, the Son, and the Holy Spirit, or the divine spark, or the spirit, the soul, or the higher soul, and the incarnated soul, or the flesh. Incarnated means in carne. Carne in Spanish or in Latin means flesh, right? So, incarnated soul. So let me just go through it. So, in Tibetan Buddhism, what is the incarnated soul called? Buddha nature, right? And in Taoism, what is it called? Spiritual fetus. Okay. What does the word Buddha mean? So just because we speak about Buddha doesn't mean we worship Buddha, that we're Buddhist. Or just because we speak about any religion doesn't mean that we worship that religion. No. So, but these traditions are there to explain to us truths or things that are natural, right? But there are subtle teachings about other dimensions, right? And about our true nature, right? We're not the body, we are the soul. We're not the body, we're not the emotions, we're not the thoughts, we're not the mind, we're the soul. Super important. That just alone is one of the most important things we can ever learn. Just learning who you are is super important. There's no greater understanding and no greater work that we can dedicate our life into. Because once you know, your life changes. And one thing is obviously to know. First, you know it, may not realize it, but you know it, you do your best. But then, you say, instead of saying I'm hungry, you say my body is hungry, because you're not the body, right? That's accurate. But later on, once you start realizing it, having little bits realizations, and eventually we'll realize. And we'll understand that we're not the body, that we're not our emotions, that we're not our thoughts, that we're not the mind. We'll see the mind as an instrument of the soul. And we see that we are the soul. When we say the soul, the higher soul, right? Now, the higher soul, right here, right? The higher soul is pure. The higher soul is pure. The incarnated soul is not. So it's growing. Now, why is it called this? So Buddha, the word Buddha means the enlightened one. The word Buddha means the enlightened one. So your Buddha nature means your enlightened nature. So in Buddhism, your Buddha nature means your enlightened nature. What is your enlightened nature? Your incarnated soul. That's why the incarnated soul is called the Buddha nature. So why? So when you realize, so self-realization, right, is when you become one with your incarnated soul. you achieve self-realization, that you're not the body, you're the soul, right? Uh, then soul realization, when you truly realize your soul, you is actually higher, is the higher soul, the soul realization. God realization is one with your divine spark, with the spirit, which is a direct emanation from God, according to the Kabbalists, right? So and it's called the spirit. Why? So where the spirit comes from, the word is Latin for breath, for spiritus. Correct. Spiritus means breath. It's like the breath of what? Of life. And what does since the Kabbalah comes from the Bible, right? And we're learning about the Kabbalah, the tree of life, the Kabbalistic tree of life. So how does God give Adam life? Through a breath of life, through a spiritus. It infuses him with spirit. But the way that a spirit incarnates, you have to understand the spirit exists. Imagine, so it's a symbol. It's obviously when we say that when it is said that we're created at the image and likeness of God, does it mean that God has two eyes and two nose, one nose and right and two holes in his nose and mouth and all that, and a butthole and a butt and all that? No, so no, but and it's funny, but the whole point is I'm trying to be fair. What is image and likeness? You understand? And I think it's funny. Yes, so it's the true self. So the image and likeness is at a higher level. If we're not the body, right? Our body, of course, is a symbol of the universe. Like we have creation itself, we have it here, right? So we have like 5 fingers, the 5 elements, and all that stuff, right? So our body in itself, it's a manifestation of other secrets, right? Of creation itself. But in reality, and it's a physical manifestation of that, and it's a physical. It's probably the no matter how beautiful someone can be, is probably the ugliest or the least beautiful representation or manifestation of our true nature, right? And the higher that we go, the more beautiful, because the closer to God we become, right? So it is really, I think it is really important to understand that when it says image and likeness, yes, there is image and likeness at all levels because God is in all things. But in reality, the true image and likeness is that emanation. And so it's a symbol because our breath is our breath of life. And so it's a direct emanation from us, from our inner being, from our life force. So that's what a spirit is. It's an emanation, a direct emanation from the Most High. And an image and likeness is because the likeness is that the soul in itself, the spirit in itself is virtue, right? Because we are threefold. It is said that we are threefold beings. Just like, so if we're in image and likeness, and God is a Trinity, Father, Son, Holy Spirit, right? Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva, and there's everything is threefold, right? So we are also threefold, image and likeness, right? As above, so below. So because we're threefold, that ray 1, 2, and 3, or that divine power, divine love, and divine light, from there is where the virtues come. From the ray of will, we have conscious of aim and effort and non-laziness, right? moderation and non-excessiveness. From the ray of love, we have loving kindness and non-injury, generosity and non-stealing. From from the ray of intelligence, right, of active intelligence, or the Holy Spirit, we have accurate perception and correct expression and non-falsehood, honesty. And what I just said is 5 virtues, but these 5 virtues actually duplicate into 2 more. So all the 10 commandments are a multiplication of these 5 virtues. So basically, the 10 commandments are the higher and the lower form of these virtues. I never said that before. That's not in books. But they're really a manifestations. They're just emanations and manifestations of us, of God. And we are part of that, because at the end of the day, we are virtue itself. Our nature is virtue. And so, like someone said, like the Buddhists say, we're all Buddha beings, we're all enlightened beings, right? But we just don't act as though we were, because we're in that journey, in that process to understand truly that we are virtue. That's why it feels good to be, when you do something nice, when you do something virtuous, because you're tapping into your own true nature. And so the Buddha nature, the incarnated soul, is also called the Buddha nature, but Buddha means the enlightened one, right? So your enlightened nature. That's what the incarnated soul is called by the Buddhist. And so then the teacher says, sometimes during meditation, the meditator may notice light going beyond his head. There he experiences his true Buddha nature as light radiating in all directions. So just understand this. Just because it's called the incarnated soul and we say it's not pure and all of that, that doesn't mean it's not amazing. Do you understand? That does not mean it is not amazing and very spiritual. First of all, just look at this. What is higher in let's say in height, just in physical height? Your heart chakra or your crown chakra? Your crown, yes? Which is, so the heart chakra is the center for personal love, yes? Your love for family, for friends, for people, for the people that are here, for our friends, right? So, and your crown is the center for universal love, divine love, unconditional love. That's why saints, the beings that have unconditional love, forgiveness for all, they have this halo, right? It's an activated crown chakra. That's what that means. When clairvoyantly seen, it looks like a halo. That's why it doesn't matter where you go on the earth, right? You go to many different countries, many different traditions, and they all have spiritual people, all have halos around their head. It's a natural process. That's why they all, it's seen, it's normal. So, but which one, so what is higher, personal love or unconditional love for all beings? Unconditional love for all beings. So which of these 2 chakras is more spiritual? The crown chakra. And it is what? Higher than the heart chakra. Why? This is also the entry point of spiritual energy into the body. Yes? So the crown chakra is your gateway into the higher planes, right? Into the higher realms, spiritual realms of God, etc. Right? So, having said that, where does that spiritual energy come from? From God via what? your incarnated soul. So the incarnated soul is higher than the crown chakra that we all are like, wow, the crown chakra. And yes, we should say, wow, the crown chakra, but when I say but sometimes when I say that the incarnated soul is not pure, people think, oh, so it must not be good. No, it's amazing. It's, you know, what is the name of it in no in the Kabbalah? Ain Sof Ur. What does Ur mean? Light. And what is Sof? Means limit. And what is Ain? Means no. So no limit or limitless light. What is it in the Christian tradition? What is it? The Holy Spirit. None other than. So it is when you're doing the meditation into your hearts, what are you doing? You're focusing when at the in the climax of the meditation, you're focusing on your incarnated soul. It is your connection to, it is a higher connection to your higher soul and to the divine spark. It is self-realization. And it is pure light. It is infinite light. This is why the author writes, sometimes during meditation, the meditator may notice light going beyond his head. There he experiences his true Buddha nature as light radiating in all directions. All directions. Expansion of consciousness. And it feels amazing. So what is greater than your crown chakra, entry point of spiritual energy into the body? The incarnated soul. And then you have the spiritual fetus. So the Taoists call it the spiritual fetus. Why do the Taoists call it the spiritual fetus? Isn't that like a very peculiar name? It's developing. It's a fetus. So, and what that means is that even though in page 172 we see it as a chakra, and in the entire book we see this as a chakra, it doesn't start like that. Even though you guys see it like this as a chakra, right? There, on top of Keter, on top of the crown chakra. Let's go to page 172 real quick. You see? Even though you see it as a chakra on top of the head, it doesn't start that way. So on people that are not really spiritual, or let's just say just normal people, right? Like the masses that are not into the spiritual things and stuff like that. It's a point of light. Now, does it mean one is better than the other? No. But it's what you need. If you lift, very heavy sacks of rice every day, you're going to gain muscle. Why? Because you do that every day, and and eventually your body develops because you need it. That's what you do every day. If you don't do any physical activity, go to the gym or whatever, then you just won't develop like that. So it's, you have to have interest, and you have to do. It doesn't make someone better than another. So, well, that's something that in the spiritual path sometimes we forget. We're all the same in the eyes of God. Like in Matthew, in the Christian tradition, right, in the New Testament, in Matthew, in the Sermon on the Mount, it says, God shines His sun over the good and the bad, and makes it rain over the just and the unjust. So at the end of the day, we're all loved, right, by the Divine Supreme Being. We're very fortunate. So anyway, thank you. So anyway, spiritual fetus. So it starts with like a point of light, like a brilliant star. Still very brilliant, right? Infinite light. But it starts like a small star, speck of light, right? Like a small point of light above the head, right? Still 12 inches above the head, 30.5 centimeters, and very bright light. Over time, but the more spiritual development, right, the individual develops spiritually, this point of light begins growing and growing and becoming brighter and brighter. The star starts growing, eventually forming like a golden light, or like a small golden seed of bright golden light. And then as the person grows and continues to grow spiritually and grow spiritually and grow spiritually, meditating, etc., with the techniques that are that they're mentioned in the chapter, in this section, right? The person can continue with these techniques, and then eventually that seed becomes bigger and bigger, and becomes a small ball, and then bigger, until you have like a golden ball of light or golden flame. It looks like a bud, also known as like a tongue, and so also known as the Pentecostal fire in the Christian tradition. By that time, the person is very, very developed, and then once it comes that tongue, that golden ball or golden flame, right, above the head, it radiates light of, in all directions of different colors. It already becomes a chakra, and then, notwithstanding, it hasn't still bloomed. The golden ball, the golden flame, just looks like that clairvoyantly, but in reality is a closed bud. Exactly, thank you, of golden flame, until it actually, the person develops even more, and it eventually opens into a flower, into a chakra. So you have a chakra and then a chakra above. So you have a chakra and then another chakra above. So there's a book, on Om Mani Padme Hum, book from Master Choa Kok Sui. If you guys get it, we're gonna read that also. But there you'll see the pictures. There is very special. So actually, in that poster you can see Maharaji Mei Ling. You see that both chakras are. Sorry, you guys can see the poster, guys, but it's pretty cool. You're gonna get it. Well, you guys get Shayna being epic with for you guys. She's gonna show you her poster. Oh, great, perfect. And put him above my head. I don't know if you can see this here. There. It's a little light. There you go. No, I think. Okay, here we go. So, there's Maharaji Mei Ling. I wish my head could be below his, but just for academic purposes, you see the crown chakra of a enlightened yogi. Now, this is, of course, It's much bigger, especially for someone of this caliber, Mahurje Miling. It will be much, much bigger, but so that it can fit in the picture, it is drawn like this, right? And then above, you see a fully developed, incarnated soul. It becomes an actual chakra, 12th chakra, and is fully developed and opened. Okay, so thank you, Shayna, for that. Let me see if this can be here. So we can hang out. I wish it could be on top of my head. So I'm just gonna give it to you back so it can be on top of all of us. So, um, um, yeah. So gotta know your place, right? So, um, so spiritual fetus. Why spiritual fetus? Because of that. And so it is drawn here in the Taoist. So in Taoist drawings, you'll see like the person meditating, and on top of his head, another person, right? And so because that's the fetus, right? So then it's because it's developing, and so like it says here, this is part of the inner teachings and practices in Hatha yoga. If you guys have the chance, I would recommend you guys to try Hatha yoga. There are great techniques for developing and experiencing, like it says here, the spiritual fetus or the Buddha nature. And it says here that most preferably be learned from a living guru. That's another thing I wanted to talk about. This is truly really important. I had the opportunity of learning from Master Choa Kok Sui, or from him. Like many other people had the opportunity because he traveled over the world. So we had that chance. I feel very fortunate that I could go see him the times that I did when he used to come to the U.S. So and so whatever little I could see him, it was very special every time. But the whole thing about a living guru, what does he mean by a living guru, and why can you just learn the techniques from a book? You can learn the techniques from a book, but also when we're receiving teachings, we're not only receiving teachings that are being just comprehended and academic or from with words. The words are infused with power. The words are infused with energy. So you're also being taught things, and there's also seeds that are being given to you that will be, or treasures that will be, or jewels that will be opened at a later time, by you. Once you're ready, you'll be able to seize them or open them or understand them. So just by expressing, just by the teaching, that happens. So when a true living guru, what is guru? Again, so the reason I like to translate these words and ask what do these words mean is because they have meaning. There's a reason why they're called guru. It means master, yes. Does it mean spiritual teacher? Yes, but what is the actual root of the words? Gu, ru, right? So two characters, gu, ru. And one means darkness, the other one means dispeller or destroyer. Destroyer of darkness. What is the darkness? Ignorance. Lower nature. So destroyer of darkness, destroyer of ignorance. Spiritual teacher. And when anybody that talks about spirituality is not necessarily a guru. So I can be here teaching you guys, sharing the little bit I know, whatever I can share with you guys. But that doesn't make me a guru. Could it be a dispeller of some darkness? Yes. But a true guru is a great, great advanced being. So they can also, and the fact that they're living, they can materialize that energy. They can actually help with giving initiations, helping you energetically, so that you can actually learn these things in a better way. But Arhatic yoga can be learned still. There's masters that Master Choa appointed so that they can teach Arhatic yoga. So it's very special. So it's still being taught. The techniques are taught, and you can learn them. So I recommend, if you guys want to try it, give it a try. It's a great experience. It definitely, like it says here, advances your spiritual path greatly. Okay. How are we doing? Could you do me a favor? Could you pass me this microphone so we can see the time? Thank you. Either one. How are we doing on time? Okay. So, spiritual fetus is because it's developing. So the spiritual technique alone is not enough, right? The help and blessing of the spiritual guru are necessary and of utmost importance, because this is like you get an empowerment. So when you get an empowerment, you can actually, you have all this energy that you can go forth. The help of the teacher helps you grow. When you're in the aura of the teacher, you learn better. You understand things that sometimes you probably wouldn't be able to understand on your own. When you're in the aura of the teacher, you actually develop faster. You're using basically the energy there of the teacher, and when the teacher empowers you, they empower you, consciously empower you, right? And so that you can grow faster. And the blessings that it gives you, the help that it gives you in the physical and the inner worlds. So it's very special. That's why he says at the moment of writing, there are only a few accessible living gurus who can impart the proper technique, the spiritual help and blessings. A living guru must be treated with great respect and gratitude. This is true, because they're far and few between, and sometimes there's gaps without them. So it's very special. But regardless, all should be treated with great respect and gratitude. You understand? All beings. And so next is the higher soul and the causal body. We'll see that next time. That's on page 177. Then we have pure energy with consciousness and pure matter, the incarnated soul and the higher soul and the divine spark. So we'll talk more about that. That's why I didn't want to cover too much, so we can actually go into here. The Christian viewpoint, more about the Holy Spirit, the Supreme Being, and the Holy Trinity. That's going to be very interesting. The Egyptian Tree of Life. So the Egyptian Tree of Life, basically, how is each Sephiroth called? The universal God, solar God, and planetary God. The Kabbalistic cross and the spiritual and practical symbols. There's a lot to cover, and very cool stuff. In any case, any questions about what we learned today? If you guys have any questions, please leave them in the comments below. We'd love to hear from you, to see what you think about what we spoke about today, or if you have any questions about it. Anyone? No? It's okay. You can ask questions. It's fine. No, it's okay. It's okay. really. Huh?
So the incarnated soul
Mm-hmm.
is not pure because it's in development.
Correct.
But it's still very evolved. Yeah.
Yes.
Not much. I just wanted to get that.
Yeah. So what your question was, the incarnated soul is not pure because it's in development. My answer to that is next question. No, I'm just joking. No, so Master Choa used to do that sometimes. You ask him a question, he says, next question. And sometimes he will come back to you as a joke, and sometimes he would just really ignore the question. If he didn't feel that he could answer because of the people or whatever, he didn't want to impart. He knew, he just sometimes couldn't share. But it was funny. He would go, next question. Anyway, so yes, it's because it's still in development. But that's not only why it is not fully pure. But maybe I should leave it at that. There's a purpose. There's a purpose for our lives. There's a purpose for this whole thing. There's a purpose for us as divine beings or as souls to be in this dimension full of dense physical matter. There's a purpose for God to emanate into a divine spark, to to emanate from itself into a divine spark, which eventually will pour a portion of itself down into other lower dimensions and eventually into a higher soul. And that the higher soul also pour a portion of itself downward into an incarnated soul and incarnate. There's a purpose for all of that. And the most simple is growth and evolution. That must mean that there's imperfection across the board at some point or certain levels or degrees. But when it says that if from what we read before, if you go into the previous sessions through the videos or whatever, you understand. Even the teacher or the author talks about that the incarnated soul is not pure. The higher soul is pure. The incarnated soul is not pure. But at the end of the day, where there is yin, there is yang, right? And so yin and yang, they have a little bit of each on each side. So they are just different degrees. But yes, but the incarnated soul is not pure and it's developing. That doesn't mean that it's bad. Are very nice, there are many nice people on this earth, even Mother Teresa, but we're all developing. We're all growing. We're at different stages of growth. You understand? But it's part of how we grow at this level. So, yes. So we're all evolving, and the whole is evolving at the same time through its emanations, like us, of which we're a part of. But anyway, topic for another day. Any other questions? No? Okay. So, but the most important thing is the development. what we spoke about today is the development of the incarnated soul that goes from a spark, from like a brilliant star into a full-blown chakra. And there's a purpose for that. There is a point to all that. It's just, there's more energy coming down to be able to bring to all, to be able to be of greater service, to be able to do more, and for us to have greater, deeper experiences and help us return home. So, but we'll cover more as we go. And for more information, also refer to the Master Choa Kok Sui's courses, pranic healing, or Hatha yoga, and all that. It's really special experience. Anyway, we're good. Leave questions below. We'd love to answer them. Love to hear from you. And thank you. And I'm a namaste. Shall we close? Okay. To the Supreme God, we thank you for your great blessings. To my spiritual teacher, we thank you for your great blessings. To all the great ones, we thank you for your great blessings. To Grand Master Choa Kok Sui, to the Divine Lord Christ, and to all the great ones, to the divine hierarchy of the divine holy angels and archangels, to all the spiritual helpers, all the spiritual elders, all the divine beings of light, to our divine soul, our divine self, we humbly thank you for your divine and priceless blessings. Thank you for your divine light, divine love, and divine power, for the divine mercy, good health and protection, divine guidance, divine help, and divine illumination. Thank you for the priceless teachings, the priceless blessings, the priceless help, and the priceless love. Thank you for your divine light, for understanding, your divine love, for love, kindness, and forgiveness, and your divine power to do what is right and to refrain from all unwholesome actions and behaviors. Thank you. In full faith, so be it, and so it is. Thank you. Amma Namaste. Thank you for coming, and we'll see you again next week. Amma Namaste, everyone. Namaste. Namaste.